We're off and running. We are ready. Hello, welcome to Playoff Tailgate, delivered by Pizza Hut. He's Skubie Mageza. I'm Jason Fitz. We're going to get you ready not just for the Bengals and the Titans, but for all of the wild playoff action for the next 30 minutes, all the way up to kickoff. So you guys can go ahead and, put your drink down and celebrate with us for a few minutes. Skubie, you feeling the excitement?
Oh, man, these are the best games you could possibly get. Not one game was a snoozer. It's going to be a great weekend, Fitz. I'm just going to sit on the couch behind me for the next, 7 hours or so for the rest of the day. That's my plan.
I am going to order an inordinate amount of Pizza Hut and just eat it for the next 2 days straight. Like, that's all I'm going to eat my way through cheese pizza for the next 2 days. Hey, look, I'm on brand. The boxes are here. We're ready to go. All right, we got a ton to get into, so let's talk some football. And to do that, we're going to bring in a guest to get some fun into this Let's Talk Football, delivered by Pizza Hut. We got a special guest joining us who not only talks the football, but played the football, also knows Nashville. He's there, right there in the thick of it. Tim Hasselbeck, sitting in my city. Tim, it's weird that I have to come to Connecticut to hang out with you in Nashville. Are you hyped for the Titans-Bengals game?
Definitely hyped for it, and I'm winning because I got to stay in Nashville with these two ridiculously huge Titans fans, so there's no doubt about it, Jason, that I'm winning this one.
Wait. Let's dive into this because I see your helmets behind you. I don't see a Titans helmet behind you. So both boys living in Tennessee. Everybody's Titans.
Listen, my boys, my son Taylor and my son Isaiah, huge football fans. But listen, they were way too little back when their old man was wearing a Giants helmet, and so they don't care about the Giants or Washington or Arizona or any of those teams. We live in Nashville. They are all Derrick Henry, all Ryan Tannehill, all Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Kevin Byard. Like, that's all these guys care about.
We got to hear some takes from them. I'm pretty sure they know a lot of football as well, so we got to hear what they think about the games as well. And we got some questions for you, Tim. So, Fitz, I'm going to let you get us started.
Well, now let's let the boys chime in first. We'll get real football analysis in a second, but you got Taylor and Isaiah with you. So, are we predicting a win, boys? What do we think's happening here?
What?
Titans by about 14.
What about you? You got a prediction?
Titans about 10.
All right.
Double
They're both
digits.
very confident.
So we got a win by 14 and a win by 10. I don't know if Mike picked it up, but that's what they're saying.
All right, that's good. We'll get back to the boys. We'll get their thoughts. We heard it from them first. Just let me keep my job for a second before your kids take it. Come on, Tim. All right, so let's take a look at the 49ers taking on the Packers. Cold weather game. It's going to be as cold as 10 below, according to some reports, wind chill. Tim, how's that going to affect Jimmy G?
You know what? I don't think that the cold necessarily, affects the game. I think what affects the game is wind. And so, listen, when you're out there playing and the way that the sidelines are set up in terms of heated benches and different, things to keep guys warm, I don't think cold ends up having an impact on this game. Now, if it were ridiculously windy or, there were some other elements that are associated with it, I might feel differently about it. But I think cold weather alone, probably isn't anything that has a significant impact on the football game.
Yeah, that's so true because I was watching Emmanuel Sanders talking one of the interviews on NFL on ESPN, and he was saying we have heaters, we have benches, we have these jackets. It's actually not as bad as people think it is once you start running around. So, I mean, when you think back to your career and cold games, what's the coldest game that you've ever played that automatically comes to mind?
Yeah, the coldest game I played in was I was with Washington. We were playing the Giants. It snowed like 5 inches the night before. They were shoveling the field at the Meadowlands. And like the turf at the time, like it felt like asphalt. It felt like pavement. But here's the thing. Because I was playing in the game, kind of like Emmanuel Sanders, what he was saying, because I was playing in the game, like I was warm. Like it was like, all right, defense will go out there, you get a little, warm up on the sideline and head back out there. The coldest game I ever played in was, I think it was like a December game when I was with the Eagles and I was the holder and we were playing the Rams. And so it's probably, I don't know, high 20s, and we won the game 10-3. So I only played 2 snaps as the holder. So it was like, wait a second. It was like, are we really in field goal range? Because I can't feel my hands right now because I've been standing on the sideline for an hour. Like, that it's hardest for those guys. Like, have sympathy for the guys that are going in like once every 45 minutes.
Oh, this is great stuff. All right, both teams are running the football really effectively. Where do you put the edge in the ground game in this game, Tim?
Well, I think that you have to give the edge, like, overall in terms of running the football to San Francisco, just because of the creative things that they do. I mean, it's just really the identity of their offense, and they're so physical. That being said, like, I do think that, there's an element to how Green Bay is running the ball with A.J. Dillon. Where did A.J. Dillon go to school? Boston College, right? You knew that too, right? BC, that's right. You got the BC helmet up there. Listen, I think his physical element, like, he's kind of like a Derrick Henry clone if you go back and look at, his combine numbers in terms of, like, size, explosiveness. And so even though he's not going to rush for 100 yards, I think the situational running that he kind of brings to the table, so like short yardage, goal line stuff, got to have it situations. I do think that, it's not like Green Bay is so far behind San Francisco in terms of their ability to run the ball effectively in certain situations.
All right, moving on to the other game that we're going to see, Rams versus the Bucks. I mean, one of the big storylines for this game is the injuries that the Bucks have on their offensive line. And Tom Brady's going to be dealing with a defensive line that's given him some of the most pressure he's seen all season. But they do have Leonard Fournette coming back. They just activated him. So how do you think these injuries are going to affect Brady and the offensive line against this Rams defense?
Yeah, I think it's significant. I think you look back at the Super Bowl, that Tampa played in with, the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was like, well, hey, how are these guys stopping, Patrick Mahomes? Well, they're stopping Patrick Mahomes because the rush is getting home so quickly. And the reality of it with the Rams is that's a championship defense. I mean, that defense was built to win a championship. It's why you go get Von Miller and Leonard Floyd. It's why you continue to invest in the guys that they've invested in up front. And so, because of that, do I think that it has an impact on the game? I do. I mean, you're talking about, probably the premier front in the National Football League going against a depleted offensive line. And honestly, Rush, as great as Brady is, like, where he's going to be. They're not a move the pocket team. And so for that reason, I do think it's something that, probably has a significant outcome on the game. You mentioned Leonard Fournette, though. Yeah, if they can run the football, which, is how you do have to attack that Rams front, he could end up being kind of, something that could help, I think, deal with the issues that Tampa Bay's dealing with.
All right, let's move on to Chiefs taking on the Bills. I can't get the thought of what the Bills did to the Patriots out of my mind last week, Tim. How much of that actually carries over to be real against the Chiefs in Arrowhead?
And there's a lot of people in New England that can't get it out of their mind too, right? Like, that's what a lot of people are thinking about. Okay, I think there are elements of this. I was asked earlier this week, what's the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen? And, like, I don't know that there's a big difference between those guys. Truthfully, like, physically, what they can do, and then you look at the Bills' defense. I think these are two really evenly matched teams. And you kind of mentioned the Bills and what happened with them with New England. Think about that edge they had, right? Like, a lot of it had to do with, like, losing to those guys in the past. How are they going to respond to that? I think there's an element now, for the Bills that, like, they feel like it's their time. They belong here. They can play with, the Kansas City Chiefs, and, like, they've been beaten by them in the past, and so there's that kind of that sharpness probably to their preparation going into this of, like, look, we got revenge on New England. Let's go get revenge on Kansas City.
All right, so we already know who your kids think are going to win this game, so I got to get a prediction for them on who the Titans are going to see in the AFC Championship. Who are the Titans going to see? Is it going to be the Chiefs or the Bills? I got to get those predictions.
What do you think?
I think it's going to be the Bills.
You think it's the Bills? Big day for Josh Allen? What do you think? You guys, they never agree on anything, and all of a sudden they agree that it's the Bills. I'm actually going to disagree with them, and if I'm right, they're both grounded for the week. Look, I think Kansas City, one of the things they're doing really well is they're running the football, right? Like they've got like this power running element, to what they're doing, and so I think that ends up, kind of being the difference for them. And then, they're so dependent on Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen's probably going to throw it 50 times, run it another 15. That just seems like a lot for me. There's just so many opportunities for mistakes that dependent on one guy.
Hey, Tim,
I got the Bills too, guys. I got the Bills too.
Let's not, Tim's not, you're not taking the kids to the game. What are they feasting on in the Hasselbeck house? Like, what are you guys eating for this thing?
Well, clearly, a couple things, okay? So, one, now that I saw you talk about eating Pizza Hut for the next week, I think Elizabeth, my wife, has ordered, box after box of Pizza Hut to supply us for the week. But, Fitz, you know this, down in Nashville, what's the meal for today, boys?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, baby. Chick-fil-A is the meal for the day down here in Nashville.
That is well done. Y'all enjoy the game. Hey, thanks for letting us take some family time. Get ready for the game. Enjoy it. Boys, you're doing a great job. Just let Skubie and I keep our jobs for a little bit. That's all we ask. You guys keep hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Please.
All right, Skubie, I trash-talked our buddy Jordan Cornette last week before my beloved Raiders took on the Bengals. Wrote a little song. I reminded him that, the Bengals were going to lose to the Raiders. I was wrong, and he asked me to join the dark side of the force and come over to the Bengals. So this week, I decided I would write another song, but it wouldn't be one that would make Jordan happy. Here is my ode to this week's Bengals matchup against the Titans in my city of Nashville.
Hey, Jordan, Nashville's Music City, we got honeybees and we love Tennessee whiskey and hate bachelorette parties. And the Titans aren't as known, and there ain't as much advantage when they're at home. But the King's gonna ride, take your precious Bengals and throw them all aside. Jordan, season's gonna die. Somehow Joe Burrow will keep on being overhyped. Yeah, enjoy what you got now. Cause your season ends when Cincy goes on south.
Jordan didn't really think I was going to make a pro-Bengals song against the Titans, right?
I'm just surprised that you managed to keep that song clean without any swears in it.
Hey, that every week, every day that we work together, that's a delight. What y'all don't know is the minute that the mic cuts off, man, I use the F word like it's a noun, it's a verb, it's an adjective. I don't know how it hasn't slipped out. All right, so speaking of the Titans, let's go ahead and take a look at the return of the King, because as we all know, Derrick Henry is coming back. Now, this isn't a rerun of one of the greatest movies of all time, but it is a return of one of the greatest running backs of all time, Derrick Henry. Hall of Famer, future Hall of Fame candidate, Derrick Henry, because of what he's done. I believe that the Bengals are in for a wildly long day because Derrick Henry is so stinking good.
I mean, Fitz, he's coming back like an Iron Man. He has a metal screw, and he's playing with a metal screw, 5 screws in his foot, and a metal plate in his shoe as well. After missing his final 9 games of the season, he was averaging 111 yards per game. That's the second best in NFL history after Terrell Davis had over 140 that one year. But it's great for this offense to have Derrick Henry back. We've talked about his return all season, and the Bengals are a team that are going to have their hands full and be ready to stop the run game, because this team could run the ball without Henry, and now he's back, they're going to run the ball even better.
Yeah, and I think it's an important point Mina Kimes made on the ESPN Daily podcast this week. The Bengals defensively have been particularly bad against play action. Play action is going to be even more fired up, because even if Derrick Henry is just a decoy, they're going to have to put more in the box to stop him. It becomes one of the most But I think it's going to be the most competitive game of the weekend. Let's stick with the Lion King theme for a minute, though, and have a little bit of fun. We'll take a character from the movie, and we'll assign him to a player still playing in the playoffs. Let's start, I don't know, with Pumbaa. What do you think? Who you got as Pumbaa?
Pumbaa is a big, goofy, funny guy, so you gotta go with Gronk. Gronk has to be Pumbaa when it comes down to the Lion King characters, because there it is. The smile is even the same. And I feel like Gronk literally lives by Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days.
Oh, that is well done by you. Let's go to Simba next. Who you got as Simba out of our Lion King characters, remaining players in the playoffs?
All right, well, you got to go with the king, right? This is easy. Derrick Henry is Simba, because when it comes down to being the king, wearing the throne, and being somebody that nobody wants to mess with, it's got to be King Henry.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Scar becomes really interesting because Scar, obviously, the bad guy. And we got a couple of bad guys. When I say bad guy in air quotes, I'm talking about the person that many people may be rooting against for different reasons. Many of them. So who you got as Scar? Oh, they put it up for us.
Listen, the resemblance in these pictures are scary, because Aaron Rodgers really looks like Scar. And obviously, with all his takes this season, he was the bad guy for quite some time. So I think this is perfect. When it comes down to Scar and the characters, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, you drop an F-bomb on live TV, maybe you become the bad guy. I still don't know, though. Like, Tom Brady's got there's still some people that are thinking Brady's Scar. Let's go to Zazu next. This one gets a little bit interesting. What are your thoughts on Zazu? Oh, look at that.
You know what? I like Mike Evans being Zazu, because he's such he's a great character and needed to be in there, but he's also sneaky quiet as well. Like, you don't get too much from him. And Mike Evans has just been killing people silently and doing his thing silently. So I like the Mike Evans Zazu.
I like the work that our team's done behind the scenes making these look good. Rafiki, you got to get a coach in here with some Rafiki action. This one, oh, look at that. Andy Reid, Rafiki side by side.
You know what? Out of all the coaches that are left within the playoffs, of course, it's Andy Reid. He's the one with the most wisdom. He's been through the most, and I feel like he's raising somebody in the NFL that is going to also be some type of royalty, if you would say. So, spot on. Great job by our production team.
Yeah, well, I've spent a lot of years calling Andy Reid the Kool-Aid Man. So what do you got, Scooby?
So I know we're kind of sticking to the timeline of the king has returned, and you know, when we think about the king or the bad guy, I know you mentioned Tom Brady, you know, maybe being up there, but you got to knock Tom Brady off of his throne. He's got 7 Super Bowl rings, so you got to win at least 8 or 9 to be able to knock him off his throne. So the question is Brady Scar? Because you really think he's Scar right now with the way that you're making your point on this Lion King?
Or to your point, is he Mufasa? Is he like the ultimate king? Is he the king of all of the kings of the Lion King? I mean,
There it is. Mufasa, you're right. Mufasa. Is Brady Mufasa?
Well, yes. I think at this point, you know, the people that hate him are the people that hate him because we didn't have him. Like, that's it. And everybody would love Brady if he'd been their quarterback. Also, of interesting note, as we talk through the Lion King, can we just acknowledge, Scooby, that you have the coolest middle name in the history of the entire world?
Yeah, so I'm of South African descent, so my middle name is Simba. Therefore, this movie is one that I've watched growing up as a child, hold dearly to my heart. It's got the same place as Scooby-Doo. Oh, man! Incredible! Our team is on fire with these. Oh, my Lord. That's spot on.
I'm telling you, man, like, any other person in the world would go by Simba if Simba was your middle name. But when your first name's Scooby, which is equally badass, like, I don't know. Like, I'm jealous of all of the badassery that comes with your name. All right, so as much fun as we're having with your middle name, let's move to some fun for franchises not playing this weekend. Season of hope. Like everybody, if you're not in the playoffs, you got a bunch of coaching and GM openings across the NFL. Let's take a look at some of the prominent ones out there. Obviously, the Bears are looking for a coach and a GM. The Broncos looking for a coach. The Dolphins, the Giants, the Jags, the Texans. The list goes on and on. Vikings and my beloved Raiders looking for coach and GM. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun and we'd spin the wheel. So we'll spin a wheel around, give us a coaching candidate, and then we'll give some of our thoughts on some of those best candidates. Let's see if we can get the wheel pulled up here for a little bit of fun. Where it stops, nobody knows. And the wheel is a spinning, and as it spins, it takes us to Brian Flores, one of the most interesting people I've seen on this list in a long time, Scooby, because you're talking about somebody that was let go by the Dolphins and now looks like everybody else is coach number one.
You know, this is a really interesting hire, and it fits him quite well because Brian Flores is a Brooklyn native. We can't forget that. And, you know, as a second-year head coach, he gets this opportunity again to, you know, kind of fix some of the kinks that he may have found in Miami. But during his time in Miami, not second-year head coach, second-time head coach, during his time in Miami, he was 24-25, and then this season, he broke an NFL record of 7 losses and then 7 straight wins, which no team has ever done before. So a guy who has lived in the Northeast before, a guy who's under that Bill Belichick coaching tree. So interesting to see them go from a Bill Belichick coaching tree guy to another Bill Belichick coaching tree guy.
A guy that, frankly, guys played hard for. No matter what, every season they play hard for Brian Flores. And frankly, to your point, when you get that second opportunity, a little bit of a fresh start, you can rethink some of the things you did. I think he's a great hire, whoever ends up picking him up. Let's bring the wheel up, spin the wheel again, and see what we can get this time as it spins around. And a lot of interesting names here. Oh, Jim Caldwell, another interesting name. Somebody that hasn't been a head coach in the league for the last few years, but did have tremendous success. Comparative, you know, he had tremendous success with the Lions. The Lions have been trashed since he wasn't there, Scooby. I mean, I think Caldwell deserves a second look.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And he found some success with the Lions. 3 winning seasons in 4 years, 2 playoff appearances, and then he had 2 straight years of 9-7. The Lions have not gotten more than 6 wins in a season ever since he has been gone. But Jim Caldwell, this time around, has options at the table. So much options that he has rejected interviews with the Vikings and the Raiders. So now he's getting this opportunity again to prove that he can do it. And let's not forget, he's a coach that's appeared in the Super Bowl before. He took the Colts to the Super Bowl in the first year that he was with them in 09 through 11. So I think he's a great candidate coming around this time, and he's going to find an opportunity somewhere.
Now, of note, Caldwell has tweeted out that he didn't decline interviews there, but you never know during the cycle how any of that works, right? What I do know is that when you're getting that second chance, you may not get a third chance. It's difficult. So I love a coach being very selective when they get that second opportunity. Let's bring the wheel up again, spin it around, and see where we land, Scooby. And, you know, we've got some names on here that people know, and also some controversial ones. Let's see if we, is it gonna, yeah, Josh McCown. Now, Josh McCown is getting a serious long look from the Texans, and it's a bit of a surprise because Scooby, he had never done it at any level other than high school. So this is a shocking development.
Yeah, the second year in a row that they've interviewed him, and reports are coming out that the Texans are hoping that another team interviews him in order to establish some type of legitimacy because, to your point, Fitz, he has no pro coaching experience, no college coaching experience, but he's still getting this opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. But we know he has a lot of experience playing in the NFL and been with a lot of different teams, so who knows if that will translate towards a head coach position.
Who knows is the part that everybody needs to be nervous about because, man, is that a crapshoot. Let's spin the wheel one more time and see where we end up on this one as the wheel spins round and round. It takes us to, maybe the most popular name on this list from many circles. Jim Harbaugh comes up as our last spin on the wheel. Graziano, our own Dan Graziano, has reported he has a contract extension on his desk from the University of Michigan, but he is interested in hearing from my beloved Raiders. And Scooby, I'll just say this. I understand why the Raiders are looking at a very successful coach. Frankly, he had a lot of success with San Francisco. I understand that the Raiders also love the fact that wherever Harbaugh goes, profile and platform goes with him. So I understand a lot of this conversation, but I also understand that the Raiders haven't jumped on it yet. So according to multiple reports, they are going to look through every different angle. So I think this makes a lot of sense for both parties, but I also don't mind the patience.
Yeah, and when it comes down to Fitz's beloved Raiders, because you can't say Raiders without saying beloved, when you're around Fitz, it will be a great fit for him. But he had a lot of success in the NFL, 49-22-1 in 4 years with the 49ers, and then he's coming off the best year that Michigan has ever had as a program by having a CFP CFP college football playoff appearance. And then on top of that, there supposedly is an extension that's been sitting on his desk with Michigan for the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what Harbaugh does, but definitely an interesting candidate. A lot of guys play hard for him. I've heard reports of when guys played under Harbaugh and you went against his teams, it was always a hard-fought game with guys who could hit, who were coached well and knew what to do. So definitely an interesting candidate, as you mentioned.
Yeah, well, and not just for the Raiders. We'll see if other people also give it a look. But look at this. I mean, he's just out there getting his weights in. Like, he's Scooby. He's out there finding the workout wherever he needs to find the workout, and that's why they both look better than I do. Speaking of people that look, because frankly, they're also better at their jobs, we've got a couple of our friends of the show, former people from this show that you know oh so well, Dan Graziano, and of course Diana Rossini. They're both at the site of games. Let's start with Diana, who is amidst the chaos known as Titans fans. Diana, take it away.
How do we feel about Derrick Henry's return? Are you going to be able to stop Joe Burrow?
Dan Graziano here at Lambeau Field, where tonight the Packers are trying to reach their third straight NFC championship game. They're going to have to beat the 49ers, who they beat barely back in week 3 when Aaron Rodgers got the ball back with 37 seconds left and marched them into field goal range for the game winner in San Francisco. Lots changed since then. The Niners, for example, use wide receiver Deebo Samuel a lot more as a running back than they were back then. I talked to Packers safety Adrian Amos, and he said that guy's a receiver that runs like a back, and you have to play him that way. Trent Williams, the Niners left tackle, called Samuel a unicorn on the football field. Williams also told me the biggest takeaway from their first meeting was we can't give Aaron Rodgers the ball. Specifically, we can't turn it over to him. The Niners turned it over twice in that game, and when you turn it over against the Packers, you tend to lose. Matt LaFleur, as Packers head coach, 34-1 when his team forces at least one turnover. Jason and Scooby, back to you.
My God,
wow.
Does Dan Graziano look cold? I'm just saying, he looks cold. All right, let's get into the game that's about to kick off, Scooby. And a lot of eyeballs on this Bengals offense. There can be some weakness in the secondary for the Titans. How did the Titans stop Jamar Chase to you?
Man, what the Titans have to do is go to that 2 safety look. If you go to that 1 high safety look, Joe Burrow is going to find success. He has over 126 passer rating and only 3 interceptions when he's only going against that 1 safety look, 1 high safety look. But when he has 2 safeties, he's thrown 10 interceptions this year. And that is going to be the key on being able to stop these guys, because this Titans defense has struggled against receivers. The defense ranks 31st in both receptions and receiving yards, and tied 28th in touchdowns against receivers. So they're going to have their hands full.
Yeah, well, I think the key to this is also the pass rush. Like we saw last week with the Raiders, I expected the Raiders' defensive line would do better against the Bengals' offensive line. This week with the Titans, it's an even better defensive line all the way across. in most statistics. And frankly, it's much like the Raiders, a defense that doesn't have to blitz a lot, so they can keep people back. This game, to me, comes down, Scooby, to who's going to make the first mistake. Can the Bengals, without the ride of being at home, can they survive the first 10 minutes of being on the road? Because frankly, if that pass rush gets to Burrow, absolutely his numbers decline when he's got pressure. So the Titans are going to rely on getting pressure with their front four and hope that their defense can force mistakes where the Raiders defense couldn't. That, to me, is the key in what I feel is a very close game. You want to get some picks in, brother? Who you got in this one?
I'm not gonna have those kids come on. Hasselbeck have his kids and choose against them. I'm going Titans. They got the king back. Let's do this. Titans all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think this is the game of the weekend. This is an incredibly close game. I love every second of it, but I'm taking the Titans. Shay Cornett, let her get her pick in as the third member of the show, and no surprise with her husband being a lifelong diehard Bengals fan. We'll just blame it all on that. That's what I know. What I know is it's going to be a wild game for everybody behind the scenes that made this show happen. We appreciate them. We appreciate you watching. He's Skubie Mageza. I'm Jason Fitz. Thanks for watching Playoff Tailgate, delivered by Pizza Hut. Let's go eat some pizza and watch some football. Let's go! Woo!